Welcome to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge, your front row seat to the boldest ideas and smartest strategies in the marketing game. Your host is Reed Hansen, Chief Growth Officer at MarketSurge.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge. Today I am joined by Andy Schroepfer. Andy is a seasoned financial strategist whose career began on Wall Street, first building the world's inaugural data center database at Piper Jaffray, then honing his analytical chops as a stock analyst at Goldman Sachs and managing hedge fund portfolios before he pivoted into entrepreneurial ventures. He went on to found Tier 1 Research, create Rackspace's App Matcher platform for matching small businesses with the right SaaS tools, and ultimately coined the term Immersive Wealth Experience as the father of financial fitness. Andy also launched Stocks on Bikes, an AI-driven financial fitness machine that elegantly translates stock market data into customized workouts, making investing both engaging and actionable. As a best-selling author and speaker, he empowers advisors and their clients to achieve lasting wealth. And today, as the Chief Strategy Officer at Hosting.com Inc., he leverages his unique blend of data-driven insight and immersive client experiences to shape the next generation of fintech innovation. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Thanks so much, Reed. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, so first I want to ask, you were on Wall Street, you worked for these large banks, in some pretty fast-paced environments from a financial and technology standpoint. What was the moment where you decided to pivot and away from the banks and build your own ventures, and particularly the ones that are focused on financial literacy?
Great question. So I grew up, small story of going to a library back when that was your way to get all the information in the world. And there was a book that I checked out before Glassdoor even had thought of being in existence. And it had the top 100 companies to work for. And it was ranked on two different pillars. One was compensation and the other was employee satisfaction. And in the top 5 for both was Goldman Sachs. And so as a young buck checking out an important book that would forever change my career goal was I want to work at Goldman Sachs. So when I got the chance to work at Goldman Sachs, I had to figure out what is going to be next. It wasn't that clear. It was so exciting to go get that opportunity at such an early point in my career. But literally the pace and the greed and the chase of something that someone else has is palpable. It's real. It's necessary in an economy of capitalism, but it's ugly. And there's so much goodness that can come from wealth that I'm glad that on my next 25 years of my career, I'm not after chasing the next yacht for someone else or myself. It's chasing what is the finite amount of wealth that I want out of this infinite economy. And if everyone can look at financial wellness in those terms, it really is a beautiful pursuit of I know I want to accomplish this, and that is a finite amount that I can manage toward and build toward and have goals toward and daily strive to be that person that can sustain that. But then appreciate the infinite economy around us that we continue to pursue and live in with AI and whatnot. So stock charts turned into workouts. That's what I see on every treadmill and every bike these days. Financial fitness.
Fantastic. Well, so you've coined a term, I've seen it in a few places, immersive wealth experience for advisors. And can you tell us about what that looks like in practice and how that might be a little different, a different kind of financial planning?
Yeah, great question. If you've ever looked at a stock or your statement and you get excited or sad, that emotion is energy that you're conveying out of your body in some capacity. If people around you, they will feel that energy in some way. So to say that money doesn't have energy in and of itself is just patently false. So I took that to a materially several leaps forward. So I call it watts are currency. And by watts are currency, it's meaning just like oil comes out of the ground, becomes gas, and oil has a price per gallon of oil, and it goes into your car at a price per gallon that you end up consuming. The same thing with your body. We go and get a good night's sleep. We have good nutrition. We have good training habits to be more and more fit, hopefully every day to fight aging. And if we can do that, our body wakes up with a whole bunch of energy. Some people choose to do physical labor, and hence they make more per hour for their physical labor if they treat their body well. Same thing with a group of people, whether your company has 50,000 employees, 2 million employees, or Walmart, whatever, million plus that they have, or whether you're a one person show. You wake up with an amount of energy able to give with your brain and your physicalness of being able to deliver that to the world. And stocks are the same thing. So as you see a stock like Palantir today, it's at over 400 billion in market cap today, and that's up almost 10x from a year ago. It's insane how fast the stock has gone up, but it's gone up not straight line. This stock literally did go down 50% on the tariff funkle, or whatever word is the right choice that the historians describe it as. This stock, every time it goes up, it needs to take a break so someone can sell and reap the profits from that. And someone else comes in that hadn't heard of Palantir. There may be people listening to this that still haven't heard of Palantir. Yet it's like hearing about NVIDIA in 2023 when I was on a treadmill. So with all this buildup of the concept of watts as currency, here is the story, Reed. So I'm on a treadmill. I finished a workout in fall of 2023. NVIDIA was one of my stocks in my portfolio. Hopefully it was in yours and all the listeners. And if not, Palantir is going to do the same thing. In this case, the year-to-date performance of the stock, as I'm looking at it on my iPhone, was up 235%. And I said, gosh, that's great. What should I do about it now? Anyway, in the middle of that process, I also said, well, how high does this treadmill go? And the treadmill ended up going up to 25 degrees of incline. So I said, wait. Simple math says 10% of the year-to-date incline equals 1 degree of incline on the treadmill. So at 23.5 degrees of incline, I'm going 235% year-to-date return. So I took off my AirPods with a big smile and my math geeking out and said to the person next to me, I go, I'm doing the NVIDIA. And he looks over at me and says, what's an NVIDIA? And I said, well, we should start there, but I'm doing the year-to-date increase of it by going this much of an incline. And his response was, how fast does NVIDIA go? And I go, that's a really good question. And as you'll notice, if you haven't tried going at 23.5 degrees of incline on a treadmill, going any degrees, any miles per hour is a fast pace. And that pace is measured in a math concept called watts. How many watts can I go? That determined at 23.5 degrees, how many watts could I go? And the answer at that point after a workout was 3 miles per hour for a few seconds. That was all I had left in my tank. What did the stock end up doing? Well, it's not that it crashed. It did take a break after going up 235% and ended the year in those final 2 months just treading water. So the stock does have energy. It does get exhausted when it tries to go at 23.5 miles per hour, 23.5 degrees at a couple miles per hour. It needed to cool off and come down a little bit, have the new year start where you're at 0 year to date in January, and then it proceeded to do another 235% in 2024. And now it's still doing more in 2025. But the concept of finding out what is the watt equivalent of a stock at any one point in time is where I'll take a breath and then I can jump back in. But feel free to redirect before I continue to consume without.
No, this is great. Keep going. I love this. Yeah.
Well, what I found from all of my years, and many of your listeners may have been looking at stock charts for part of their portfolio, it might be their profession as well. If it's been part of your profession, you'll know that a stock is born to go up 10% in 1 year. It used to be 5%, then it was 7%, and now the Mag 7 and what I call Manamata, Microsoft, Apple, MA, NVIDIA, Amazon, NA, Meta, Alphabet, MA, TA for Tesla, and Broadcom, which ticker is ABGO. Manamata should be the new Mag 7. Said it many times, but I'm saying it here on your show, Reed. So every stock is now trying to go up 10% in 252 days. That's how many trading days there are in an average year. But what if a stock can go up 10% in 25 days? What if it can go up 10% in a week? Like Palantir is doing today. It's up over 10%. That is an exhaustion point when you're trying to look at your stock chart as if it's a workout. You're going up 10% in 1 day. So if every stock is after that and watts are currency, how many 10% days can I do? It won't go up 10% tomorrow. It won't. It just mathematically won't. History, looking at stocks, it won't go up another 10% tomorrow. But it did it today. So as I build workouts, I give you the chance to feel with your body what the stock is feeling from trading volume. Because if the richest three people in the world are all buying Palantir and they have no more money because they bought it all 50% ago, there's no more money to go rebuy it. So the stock has gravity. Stock starts to sink down, just like on our treadmill. We do sprints and then we do recoveries. We can do a sprint of 10% in one day, but then we might need to go down 5% the next day so that we can come back and try to do 10% the third day. The point is, race sprints and recoveries are what stock charts are. And I'll leave you with this point on watch a currency. Stocks can be on bikes. If you look at a stock chart, next time you look at a stock chart, you'll know that every stock chart has an open, a close, a high, and a low. From the open, it goes to either the high or low. That's the warm-up of any workout. Doesn't matter. If it goes to the low, that's most common on every stock chart. It goes from the open to the low. That's your warm-up. Whatever that decline is, that's your opening. Your low to the high of that stock chart is your actual workout. And between that low and high is a bunch of sprints and recoveries. Sprints and recoveries. You want the sprints to be more effort than the recovery. That's what you do in training. That's what stocks want to do. I want to go up 20%, down 10%, up 30%, down 10%, up 50%, down 10%. You'll notice the theme of 10%. Just like a stock wants to go up 10% in a year, its destination, it lives and breathes. The stock price that you look at coming across the tickers, they're seeking 10% from their last low or 10% down from their last high so that they can take a break and try again.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, okay, so how does this manifest? Is this
Yes.
technology that that plugs into like a digital treadmill
Yeah,
interface, or how does
great
how does
question.
that work? Yeah.
So Apple Vision Pro was coming out at the beginning of 2024. So
Mm.
when I was on that treadmill story that I just told you, I was excited to say, hey, what if what I was looking at was the candlesticks of the stock chart? So instead of looking at them left to right, I'm looking at them from front to back of the room. And they're coming at me, each candlestick one after another, scrolling by me, causing my treadmill to go up or down. I own a Peloton tread. They're fantastic. I'm not being paid to say that. I love the game that they created called Lane Break. Lane Break says if you press this button and do away with our liability as a company, we're going to move the treadmill up and down for you so that you can just hopefully have your body keep up with an increase in pace on the treadmills moving or the incline moving up and down. Well, what if, I thought, what if I could be able to write out this algorithm of the workout of the stock chart and have it put into a Peloton treadmill or bike and have the bike be forcing me to exert the effort that the stock was doing as it's going through day after day of the 252 days in a year. So I found a great team at Valari Solutions in Edina, Minnesota, and they were able to put together this immersive experience of a stock chart being in your spatial realm while you're wearing this, sadly, too expensive device for too many people to own. But it is a beautiful immersive experience where you just pick the stock. The algorithm does its magic of breaking down whatever number of days you want, typically a calendar year or the last 12 months, into a workout, breaking down the open to the low into your warm up, the low to the high into a bunch of sprints and recoveries, and then a cool down from the high to the close. And it can pair that with music, Reed. It can pair that with music. As you're doing a bike equivalent of the treadmill workout, you're getting an RPM. And anyone that knows music knows that double the RPM and you get a beats per minute. That's why spin studios and cycle classes have been so popular, because they found a way to embrace what we all universally love, which is music. So I can give you a 5, 7, or 9 song playlist for any stock using this algorithm. As long as I tap into your playlist and your library, it would find the songs that you like that are of that length, that fits the segmentation of the workout at a beats per minute of the segment that you're doing at one time with a song that you already like because it's in your playlist. Anyway, so to me,
Wow.
that is an immersive beauty unifying of math and music. So I love it, and I hope all of your viewers can have an experience with it. The SWE.co,
Okay.
stockworkoutexchange.co.
.co. Okay, so they can purchase through that
That'd be one
site,
way that you
or
can access. On getting to the Vision Pro App Store is not necessarily that easy, so we've made it a little easier by just putting it on our homepage, so you can find the videos of me wearing these glasses and seeing what I see out of it. You'd get a 2D experience of a four-dimensional experience inside of that headsets. So if you have one, I recommend this app strongly.
that sounds fantastic. So, great as a very immersive experience for those that are maybe a little less experienced than a professional stock analyst. But do you think it applies beyond that
Oh,
field? Do you think like pros would enjoy this as
I'd
well?
have disappointed you as a guest on your show if I didn't have more for you. So the penultimate of Wall Street research. So I was an analyst at Goldman Sachs at the leading up to the peak and at the peak starting its way down in the year 2000. No one wanted to deal with this anymore. They just said the stock's going down, and the selling was all happening because that money was made out of other trades that were now going south. Anyway, the market was just feeling the energy of it going down. So it didn't matter what I said. Didn't matter what press release the company came out with. Didn't matter that they beat earnings. It was just going down. So what was at odds here is that the charts, technical analysis is forever the and it's so important because people do good fundamental analysis. Fundamental analysis should win over technical analysis, but the algorithms are doing the thinking. They trust the people are doing the math and the fundamentals. So if I can marry fundamental research with technical analysis, I have gold for Wall Street. And so as I break down
Mhm.
stock charts into workouts, it doesn't care whether earnings happen. It just cares whether people bought or sold the stock on those earnings. Today, Palantir reported, other companies reported, and their stocks are going down. Hims being an example. Hims is a stock I've owned and made a double on so far, but today it's having a down 11% day. Palantir is having an 11% up day. You might say, Andy, why can you be so happy with that? It's because Hims has taken a break while I'm adding more, and Palantir is one that I'm trimming on the top, and Hims is going to go catch up while Palantir takes a break. I can then sell that. If you can manage trading, you're finding a way to listen to trading through technical analysis by using this algorithm of a workout. But then, if you could take the smart fundamental researchers and have them opine on the 10% down move or the 50% up move, that's where the research is helpful for you to go listen and catch up on what did a company do. Well, they issued 18 press releases last year. I don't care. Which ones did it move on? That was the news. That was tell me the story about that 20% move. And I can now marry in, instead of a song for that workout segment, I can marry in a fundamental research opinion about what actually happened. It was that Apple came up with this new feature for their photography part of their iPhone that made people get rid of having the expensive big cameras. Now they can truly trust in just the iPhone, for example. But as when you can marry fundamental research and do it as a, I'm going to give you a 1 minute narrative for each 10% move of a stock in a year. I have a 12-minute podcast that would be gold. That's what I look forward to the world of smart fundamental people saying, I want to narrate the stock workouts with Andy and build a community of SOBs, stock sound bites.
SOBs, great.
Be an
Okay,
SOB,
so now
Reed. It's
this
okay.
isn't
Be an SOB.
that's great. So this isn't the first financial education product you've created. I know you were showing me, a couple that you had in hand that, yeah, your Rubik's Cube and what is the cards, right? Yeah. So
Got it.
can you talk a little bit about those? And then I've got a follow up about how does your mind work and how do you make that bridge to, something totally different than stocks?
Oh, well, thanks for the compliment in there. It's been interesting to me over my professional life, seeing how many people are afraid of money. And that manifests in so many different ways for so many different reasons. But when it comes to just talking about stocks, what stock do you like, Reed? If I were to ask you that question, most people pause. Most people don't have a go to stock that they think of. And then I started asking people,
Right.
what is your company that you work for public? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of fast food companies that are privately held, and there's a whole bunch that are part of big chains like Yum Brands. And is Uber
Yes.
public? Some people don't know that. Some people don't know that the Lyft is also public. Some people don't know that states are trying to create their own Uber. It's fascinating to me. So if people don't know where to start, I figured if this one Rubik's Cube was one stock, and I put them all together, if I put 27 of them together, I'd make a Rubik's Cube. And if you look at a Rubik's Cube long enough, you'll realize that there's only one sticker on the center of any side. But on the corners, there are three. On every corner, there's three. And on the edges, there's two that are visible. Fascinating, right? Boring as heck to some people.
Right.
As I look at this on one face of a cube, you have one company, two companies, three companies, a total of 6 centers. Guess how many trillion-dollar companies there are, Reed? There are 9. When I built the cube, there were
Wow.
6. And depending on how the market likes Tesla these days, some days it's below $1 trillion. Berkshire Hathaway, even now that Warren Buffett stepped down, he's below $1 trillion. So we're now down to 7. Either way, there are roughly 6 to 9 that can be a center sticker. The corners, again, there are 8 corners on a Rubik's Cube, but there are 3 visible stickers. 8 times 3 is 24. Guess how many companies are above $235 billion? 20,
Um,
24. So I can
24.
get
Oh, wow.
6 of the trillion-dollar companies. I can get all 24 of the ones above 235 billion, and then I still have 12 spots left on the Rubik's Cube that each show 2 stickers. So I can show 24 more stocks. And as I looked at the 10 people that have been around more than 10 years as a public company and have outperformed all the other 3,600 stocks in the stock market, I was able to put 24 other stocks on this, and I represent 70% of the stock market on this Rubik's Cube.
Wow.
Fascinating. So then you say, give it to your kid, give it to your dog, play with it, throw it around. Any side that you have is going to be roughly 10% of the total market cap. The stock market of the US stocks, 3,600 stocks, is $65 trillion. You add in $1 trillion up to $4 trillion company in the center, then you get 700 billion, 400 billion, 200 billion, 50 billion, 10 billion. Your face of this cube will be less than 6.5 trillion, almost any configuration. Why does that matter? It's not because of the 10% that a stock wants to go up. It's because Warren Buffett has 88% of Berkshire Hathaway, 88% in 10 stocks. Guess how his 10 stocks fan out? He owns Apple. That's his $1 trillion stock. That's his largest position. American Express, Oxy Petroleum, Moody's, this Verisign. He's got 9 stocks that fit on one face of this cube. And he's got 10 stocks that represent 80. Why doesn't anyone want to say, I can understand 9 stocks? Say, whoa, I got a full-time job, got 4 kids, 18 going to college, whatever it is. I'm too busy. Well, how about 5? You can make 5 stocks out of this using the center and either making an X or a plus. You're still going to come up with something close to 8 or 9% of the market. You're still close. If you can't comprehend managing, what did Amazon do this week? They're in my center. What's in Meta doing this week? What's Nvidia doing this week? If you turn on news of any kind, you're going to talk about some political policy that impacts chips from Nvidia or AI related to ChatGPT and the fight with Perplexity and Google. You're going to hear and have a firsthand opinion of which one feels too weird or which one is actually changing the world. And you're able to follow a couple others like, Eli Lilly, Salesforce.com, Accenture, Netflix, Costco. You're able to follow 5 of these. Pick your X or pick your plus, and you have 5 stocks. That, I think, makes investing super fun, super approachable. But oh, wait.
Yeah.
That's a kid's toy, right? No. Trump's administration is giving out $1,000 to every newborn. There's 4 million new newborns every year. 4 million people are going to get the chance to get out of their own way, let the stock index do a great thing for them, because the S&P 500 is going to mimic this entire cube, and it will go up. your job with your money that, as you watch your newborn's $1,000 grow exponentially over 18 years, you can go take out your Rubik's Cube, pick your 5 or pick your 9, and be able to invest on your own. But wait, there's more. So I call them capital cards, but the real name for them is Texas Trade 'em. These are also available at the SWE.co. If you think about the cards, play blackjack with them, but you can also put them into things that used to hold your sports cards and make them be a piece
Yeah,
of a Rubik's Cube. So there are 26 visible stickers on a Rubik's Cube. I gave you the example where you're doing 3 in each corner and 2 on each edge, but if you just did 1 for each corner and have 8 instead of 24, this becomes your face of a Rubik's Cube. You got your trillion-dollar company here, 700 billion or less, 400 billion or less, 300 billion or less, 200 billion or less, 100 billion or less, 50 billion or less, 30 billion or less, 10 billion or less. And you have your same 10% of the market. As I'm dealing out these cards, it's not just one game. It's not just a fancy, pretty set of cards. It's got the stock workouts on the back. So you
Oh,
can actually
nice.
do the workout by just knowing the watts of each of the 10% movements going up and down during the course of each calendar year. Fascinating, fun math. Anyway, I'm doing too many sales promotions here, but the point of playing the cards, as I'm dealing these out, the trillion-dollar stocks are kings. The $800 billion JP Morgan is a queen. And you go down the market cap layers, when you get to the twos, you're talking about $10 billion companies and less, like a Peloton or Lifetime Fitness. You're getting stocks of the entire cap range. So as you're getting a blackjack with an ace, it's a big company. With a 10, another big company of 21. But the game doesn't stop at 21. If you don't bust on 21 with the same cards, you have a 2-stock portfolio of some combination that's approximating 21. You take another card because you're on your way to 25 for game 2. And the goal is, if you don't bust over 25, the third round is, what's your portfolio return from the past week? You get a chance to draw your 5th card if you don't have 5 cards yet. You take those 5 cards as 5 stocks. They each are 20% of your portfolio. Compare it to the return those stocks had in the past week, and you see if you beat the S&P with your hand or against the people that you're playing.
Oh, cool.
So 21, 25,
Yeah.
23.5%, because that's what the S&P returned last year and the year before. 23.5%. I love
Wow.
prime numbers, Reed. I love prime numbers.
That's awesome. Well, fantastic. So, okay, now these are tremendous tools, and I think extremely engaging for people to learn about stocks and about how the markets work. I I would be interested. A lot of people in my audience are entrepreneurs themselves, and I think you've done a great job of showing us an example of how you take like your mission driven venture here, educate the population, but you've created a great experience. Now I like to emphasize, like, whenever you can, whatever business you're in, is create a great experience. Now how did you think through these? How did they, like, you're doing this, you're churning out these ideas, which is great. What's the creative process that you can design these experiences? I mean, I could totally see myself using each of these. And people that run, I think that's like, it's very attractive to them. Like, just some variety and a chance to learn while they're running. People that play cards, same thing, or people that play with puzzles. Now, what is your creative process like?
I can see numbers in anything.
Hmm.
God blessed me with the ability to do multiplication tables faster than my teacher back when I was in early elementary school. And the praise that anyone gets for something that you do well as a kid likely becomes something that's nurtured throughout your life because you invest time in it. I invested a ton of time in understanding numbers in a crazy degree. Some of my favorite movies all have to do with numbers, like the Trillion Game, if you haven't seen that on Netflix, or the 8 Block that's now on Netflix. There's Prime Target. Everything that relates to prime numbers unlocks some mystery of old times, and it's proving to be true. So finding a way to make that into money, though, is your question. So I have a passion for doing
Yeah.
this, and if I never made a dime from this, My wife would be very disappointed, but I would be so happy, as I am almost every day, waking up and dealing with showing this to your audience, for example, Reed. This is a joy to be here. I mean,
Yeah.
sincerely, it's a great
Yeah.
opportunity
Thank
for
you.
more people to see it. But I've spent 18 months now trying to figure out what is the way to make money through these. I found that trying to send these, shipping them, it's too expensive, way too expensive to go send this through mail, because you can buy one of these at Target, Walmart, anywhere for 7, $8. So why would you want to pay 23.50 for one of these for me to have tack on 6.50 shipping? Even these cards, shipping these are 6.50 because that's the cheapest you can ship something in individual quantities. So making these into a digital thing, if this were a PDF that you could print out at home, cut the cards yourself, you got to do a little craft work. But I can find ways, thanks to the digital economy and with AI, to make these all approachable experiences at much smaller price points. But what I'd really like to do is have the companies that are these stocks want to invest in bringing the experience of the hard work of their employee base to a fun Rubik's Cube game with their kids, to a fun card game with their friends. I believe there's a way for there to be a larger amount of money from a B2B sale, but it wasn't in expecting the world to go buy these $3,500 Apple Vision Pro headsets. And getting into the gaming world, I have a metaverse called StockTube, stocktu.be. It's a Belgian domain name, but if you want to play it free on your phone right now, stocktu.be, you get to go into a stock version, like Disney World for stock charts. Your terrain is going up and down and falling off a stock that's at, like Palantir today, at $99 a share, and you may jump to the ground and try to get back on it and get it to 200. That's super fun to me, and it's super fun to a couple hundred people. But finding a way, I have to go make that nasty, and the traders are coming after you, and the short sellers and the politicians are coming after you. That's what I'll have to add to the game to make more money off of it. And it's finding that fine line, I think, is the long-winded way to get to your punchline. Finding out what
Yeah.
you're willing to sacrifice in terms of pure happiness to be able to pay bills as well along the way. And that's not necessarily easy all the time. The world wants Sydney Sweeney, beautiful, very talented lady. Saw her at the shooting range on some clips. The range of her talents is beyond her beauty by far. Her beauty is what's getting her a lot of advertising campaigns, and I wish her all the best. And since I own him stock that I mentioned earlier, obviously for their ED medication, they would love to see Sydney Sweeney be a poster child for their wonderful stock and wonderful company. Anyway, that's a whole funny aside, but it's adding in those elements to go find out what is the newborn kid chewing on a Rubik's Cube that might be the best portfolio of 5 stocks that anyone's ever found. And because they left their teeth mark in it, you're going to remember which side it was on. It's a great question, and I haven't cracked the code, or I would be. Anyway, I'd be Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz, who I was blessed to get to know when I was at Goldman, bringing LoudCloud and OpsWare public. But anyway, I've found a place of happiness in math. I found a place of happiness through bringing these two very approachable products. And I just hope more people get to experience them, because coming up next, Reed, is Fitball, Pitball. We're going to have fantasy football for
Wow.
stocks.
I love it. I love it. I'm a big fantasy football guy, and you have to keep me updated. Maybe we'll have you back on to just talk about that when you're ready.
Oh,
And
it'll be out.
and probably like, what's your time frame for that?
Oh, we'll have it out. I'm going to the preseason opener for the Vikings. I don't hold out Super Bowl hopes for them this year, but they play on the 9th. So I'll be, look for Pitball, PHITBALL.com. The point of the game, here's the teaser. You expect your wide receiver. You're likely going to pick Chase if you have the chance. You're going to expect him to get touchdowns like crazy every quarter of every game this season. He won't, but you'll expect him to. You'll want your stock that trades 5 days most weeks, 4 days a week sometimes. You want your stock to do a couple things right. You want it to have a higher high every day. And I'll leave the rest of the scoring details to your imagination. But I would love to be back and explain that one in full too. These are as seen on TV, as seen on Reed TV.
No, I mean, I'm serious. And I think, right in line with the start of the season, maybe in a month or two, I think that would be right on target.
That's awesome.
But Andy, this is so great, so interesting. I'd love to pick your brain, and I feel like I've learned a lot just from our conversation. Where you said your website, can you say it one more time? I'm going to include it in the show notes, but I'd like to know, make sure our audience knows where they can get these products, connect with you, learn more.
Absolutely. So the SWE.co, the stockworkoutexchange.co. The metaverse that I mentioned is StockTube, but it's STOCKTU.be. That is your place to go play the metaverse. There's a whole bunch of other ones, but one other I'll leave you with again is Fitball, PHITBALL.com. Look for that to be live this weekend.
Awesome.
Or already live if you're watching.
All right.
Later. But Reed, I'll mention quick.
All right.
Those of you that haven't heard of MarketSurge before, I found them because I saw a stock chart that had MarketSurge in the upper right. And that happens to be a MarketSurge brand inside of Investors Business Daily that does beautiful charts that look like they're on their way to doing stock workouts. So if anyone from Investors Business Daily sees this or knows them, I do want to meet them as well. But it did give me this beautiful opportunity to meet Reed and all of you. So MarketSurge is a great.
That's. That is the best thing I've gotten out of sharing a name with the, financial analysis platform. And I am so glad that we met. Thank you, Andy. And, we had a meeting set up, as you said, and right off the bat, I'm like, hey, I get a sense from your background that you were looking for something else, but it turned out to be like a great networking opportunity. And, I've learned so much. Thank you, Andy.
100%. Thanks so much, Reed. Best of luck to MarketSurge.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.
Want to stay ahead of what's actually working in marketing right now? Head over to MarketSurge.io and see how we're helping businesses grow smarter, faster, and louder. That's MarketSurge.io, because your next breakthrough shouldn't be a guess.